Hello and welcome to Pages Pixels, the best movie related show on the internet. I'm Rohan, that's Kevin, and today we're on treadmills because we're talking about The Long Walk. Let's see how long we can actually make it on this walk. But yeah, this is a new Stephen King adaptation. I actually believe that when he wrote this movie, he was going by a different name because I guess he wrote this way before he became the master of horror as he's known today. But he wrote a bunch of dystopian novels. And yeah, this is based off of The Long Walk. So before we get into this movie, I want to ask real quick, what are some of your favorite Stephen King movies?
That's a good question. Well, I think one movie that is comparable to The Long Walk is probably like Stand By Me. I feel like that one is a pretty good movie. But my favorite Stephen King work is probably Carrie, just because I
Mm-hmm.
love all of the themes that go into that movie, and they've remade it a couple times, but I do think the Brian De
Yeah.
Palma one's the best one with all the split
Mm-hmm.
screens and I don't know. Carrie's just such a like universally relatable story that's also
Right.
got weird like psychic girl power stuff in it. It's really cool. What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. So I mean, I actually haven't seen Carrie myself. That's a big blind spot uh, on my side. Um,
More
so
Rohan fails. More
I
Rohan
know.
fails.
No, but my favorite is probably Misery. Um, I just think I just love those types of movies where it's a shorter runtime, very limited characters, and it's like a horror movie just confined into like a single space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you bring that kind of movie up, the first thing I always think of is Misery. I think it's probably the best of that genre or of that style of movie, and it's my favorite of the Stephen King movies. But others that I really love are Shawshank Redemption, and I also really loved. Uh, I believe it came out in 2017. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just chapter one though, not chapter two so much.
What are your thoughts on The Shining?
Shining is quite a great movie, but from what I understand, um, I haven't read the book, but it's nothing like the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And
very
then
different in adaptation.
yeah, and I believe Doctor Sleep is a little bit closer to the book, which I actually really like Doctor Sleep myself.
Mm-hmm. I haven't
All
seen
right,
Doctor Sleep, but yeah, I know that I feel pretty well versed in his work, so going into the long walk, like I kind of knew what to expect.
yeah, all right. I'm going to be honest. I would fail the long walk because I'm already getting tired. Why don't we sit down and then discuss and break down the rest of that movie?
Why don't you give up like the loser that you are, and I continue walking as long as I want, and we end it there. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll join you when we're sitting down comfortably at our chairs.
Yep. We considered doing this entirely on treadmills, but then we decided that we'd probably get a little bit distracted and maybe we couldn't focus as much, which I guess shows how well we would do on the long walk. Uh,
Yeah, probably not very good.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, dude, they went on for like what 300 miles, something. I don't think I could do that. Uh,
I wonder what like the furthest someone has actually walked without
yeah,
stopping is. Like, what is that actual record?
uh huh.
Versus what the movie ended up. I know that recently there's a guy who's been walking around the world, and he's been traveling since like the 90s, and he's almost done, and he just needs to go through like like 2 to 4 more countries, and he'll be done. But he's like stuck.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's also a guy named Zach Bitter, who ran across the United States. Um, but I'm assuming that he took breaks in between. And of course he ran. He didn't. He didn't walk.
Right.
Uh, But yeah, I mean, maybe let's get into the movie. I know we're talking about walking because that's what the movie is. It's basically like this dystopian future, written based off a Stephen King novel, where it's I've read the novel, and the movie kind of gives you a small glimpse into the world, but it's kind of it's kind of a dystopian world where the general, I believe, he's almost equivalent to president. I don't think there's anyone higher above him. And then, but there's like a laziness epidemic, or at least that's what the general wants to call it. And as a result, they do this thing called the Long Walk, where it's like a reality show. They get one one kid from each state, and well, they walk until you can't walk anymore. And if you once that point happens, it's bullet to the head.
Also, the winner gets like a wish granted,
Oh yeah,
and
they
the
get a
wish
ton of
could
money and
be
a wish.
literally anything. Oh, it's like a wish and money. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, because the characters, they're all, or a good portion of them are money motivated. Like the only reason that they go in is so that
Right.
they can fulfill their wishes, and later on it's revealed like what certain characters like actual motivations are, for
Right.
for competing, and it's like a lottery system. um and,
Kind of.
I think for what this movie is about, I think it's like it's a classic like YA young adult novel, like setup and premise. And
Yeah.
all of the teens are kind of like filling in those like they kind of feel like they're filling in both Stephen King tropes and also like teen novel tropes. Um, so
Yeah, I agree
people
with
who
you.
like those kinds of stories are kind of feeling at home there.
I agree with you. It did feel a little bit like, or when I first heard about this movie, it did feel a little bit like a YA thing, especially because you do have Francis Lawrence, um, who directed like all the Hunger Games movies. What, there's five of them.
Hmm.
Um, so that's probably like the second most popular YA adaptation after Harry. So I did think it was gonna be a YA movie. Um, and it definitely has those type of characters. I mean, there's no woman in this movie that would be like a love interest. So they don't have that. Um, but it definitely has that feel. Although I think there are certain things that do elevate it, or separate it from a YA. For one, it's rated R. I don't think that this would have the same target audience that most YA movies would. Uh,
Don't you think that that's just like because of the the gore? Like if they had literally just cut every single time someone was killed, or even the squibs were less graphic, I don't think this would be marketed as a horror movie. It might still be a horror movie, but I feel like it wouldn't be. It could get away with a PG-13 rating if it wanted to.
yeah, I agree, but I feel like I could say that about a lot of movies. Um, you know,
Fair. I think it's just because it's just gunshots with this. Like it's not like
right?
other another element. Because for me, I walked away feeling like this is more like a war movie than
Uh
it
huh.
is a horror movie, even though it's not really about war, but it has a lot of war movie beats.
It does, yeah,
Um, and I feel like that does dive more into like plot, but the the main characters, they call themselves like the Musketeers, even though there's
yeah.
more than three of them.
There's four of
Uh,
them.
yeah, they all kind of like are bonding, and all of their bonding is done by, just sharing stories and shooting crap out of their mouth and stuff. They're
Yeah,
just trying to pass the time. Um, and so I think that with as the movie goes on, the more you start to lose people in the story, all of those beats that are from war movies where it's you're progressing, and
right.
you hate that you're in this situation, um, just kind of fall in line.
I agree. Yeah, and you mentioned the Musketeers. There's four of them, and I think really there's two that are the central characters. There is um, Ray Garrity. I can't remember the name of the actor who plays him, but I think he did a great job. And then there is Pete, played by David Johnson, who I think basically stole the movie. Um, I mean, he's been
Where'd
getting a
he
lot.
take it?
Huh?
No, I agree. I thought he was he had the best performance of the movie. I loved seeing him in Rye Lane. I loved seeing him
Yep.
in um the recent Alien movie, and I know you've seen him in Industry too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The industry is where I first saw David Johnson. And he's kind of. I mean, I like the show a lot. I've definitely seen the actors in that show pop up in other places. He's the one that I've seen the most. And well deserved. Honestly, I think he was great in industry, but when I see him in other stuff, I'm like, oh, industry is his weakest, weakest role. You know, hard to say it's
Hmm.
weakest when everything I've seen him in, he's been great. But yeah, I mean, he was far and away, I think, the best actor, but also just the chemistry that he had um, with the main character
Garrity.
Garrity
Hmm.
was was incredible. It's like you just bought into um this friendship, and I think that if you don't buy it, um, if you don't buy this kind of central relationship, I think the whole movie falls apart.
No, I agree. And I mean, this movie is also very held together by um its conversations, its dialogue, um, which I do think like that's the make or break for most people. At least
Right.
for me, as I talk more about it later. But I feel I feel if those two characters didn't click the way that like it should for the audience, then I don't think the movie would work nearly as well. Um, and I think it's mainly just because they can carry a conversation well.
Yeah. And I mean, in fairness, and I know you mentioned this before we hopped on here. The dialogue is, personally, I didn't have much of an issue with it, but I do see it. It does read like a novel. Um,
Hmm.
it There are moments where it does like, okay, I feel like people don't actually talk like this. Um, but I think it
It's
works just because
really
of the
on the
performances.
nose too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh. But I think it works because of the performances. Uh, I mean, what are your thoughts? I know you weren't big on the dialogue.
Again, I think it was just too on the nose. I was not um with every single line that a character said, it foreshadowed something that
Yeah.
would happen later. And this is kind of what I was bringing up. I think it was in when we covered Together, where I said like sometimes watching a movie as a writer, it feels like it ruins your experience if you pay too close attention. And I think with this one, it was almost too hard to ignore those
Yeah.
details. Like it's just like little things that characters add in, or it's like even I think it's like very obvious things that characters add in. For example, Ben Wang's character. Um,
Yeah.
he's like a wisecracker type character. I found personally, I think that the performance was good, but I thought his character was very annoying. Like I got he really got on my nerves. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's
also he foreshadows his like his end when he's like, when I stop chewing my gum, that's when I'm gone. It's like, okay, well,
yeah.
he's gonna take out his chewing gum when he dies then. So it was just kind of stuff like that that just started to get on my nerves. Um,
Uh-huh.
and maybe that's nitpicking, but I think it happens so much in the movie that it was really hard to ignore. But I know you have a different take on that.
Yeah, I mean, my take isn't that different. I do agree with you for the most part. I think that I think that if I was handed a script for this movie and I just read the dialogue, then maybe I would have some of those issues. But I do think that, I mean, you bring up Ben Wang's character as a perfect example, where I just think the actor was good enough, um, to really bring it to life, to breathe a sense of character into it. Um, and I'm really, really happy that, um, I think the casting of this movie worked extremely well. Even,
Hmm.
are you, are you able to hear stuff, or
It sounds like cookie or like a dryer.
it's Cookie? Yeah.
Rohan got a dog, everyone, and now
Yeah.
she is a mascot of
She,
Pages to Pixels.
right here.
Oh my goodness.
Is her eye being covered? Yeah, the hair is covering the other eye, but there she is, and she is a bit of a mess.
Maybe she's ready for her long walk after we're done recording.
Yeah. um,
Um,
but no, where were we?
we were talking
The,
about Ben Wang's character,
yes,
and yeah.
and yeah, I just think the acting was so good that it did make up for it. And I love the casting. I mean, I think Judy Greer, limited. I think she's in like what, 3 scenes. But other she was really good in all of those scenes.
Hmm.
Um, the one the one actor I'm a little bit mixed on in this movie, and it breaks my heart to say this, is Mark Hamill. Uh,
He was a little
and
campy in this, but
he
also
is.
not like I don't think they took it that far. I think they could have made him either sillier or they could have made him more serious. And I think he fell in the middle, and I wish that they just went full camp with him.
I agree. I think it was a bit of a. I don't know. I just didn't get much from him. I feel like we were told that he's this big, scary, tough guy. And I do like the choice of when you never see his eyes. It's he's always wearing sunglasses even at night. I do like that choice to add to this fear of it. But I don't know, for whatever reason, he just didn't he didn't seem like much of a character. It's he is a guy that exists. Um
Hmm. Also, the less that he's in the movie, the less that it feels like they have a reason to almost revolutionize. Like there is no call to action after the walk begins. Every character is
yeah,
just doing the task at hand. So the script does follow a little bit of an untraditional like plot where there's not a turn.
yep,
There's sort of like a rally where everyone's like saying how much they hate the long walk, but they don't do anything about it. Um,
exactly.
I think that's part of the point, but I also think that leads to kind of an ending that I felt was a little underwhelming.
I agree. I I mean, I think I liked this movie a little bit more than you did, but I think that was my biggest issue is the fact that it is really just them doing the walk. There is nothing there's no turns, there's no I was I was expecting, okay, they start the walk and that's kind of the beginning of the first act. You introduce characters while they're walking, and then um and then there would be kind of groups and factions. We obviously we got the Musketeers. And it's like, okay, these are the nice guys that are gonna support each other, support the others. And then I was like, okay, there's probably gonna be some that are gonna try to actively sabotage the others, which I know some characters did, you know, mostly by taunting. But I thought it would go further, and then I thought at some point there's gonna be characters that they try to revolutionize within the walk.
Hmm.
And it's when they started saying, screw the long walk. I thought that's when it was gonna happen, but it never did. Um, and instead, it really is just the entire movie is really a long walk.
Can you imagine the pain of being the continuity monitor on that set? And
Oh
you're
yeah,
having to like just make sure everyone's in the right place wearing the right clothing and they're in the
yeah,
right like minds like there's so much that had to go into this technically that
hmm,
I do find impressive.
oh
So
yeah,
I do think that kind of like saves the movie for me. I especially think and I'm not sure how much we want to go too into this like on a personal level, but I do love walking. Like I love walking, and I was
Oh,
excited that early on in the movie there's just shots of just things that they're passing by as they make this journey through, I want to say Louisiana. Is that where they're at?
I'm actually
Um
not sure if they specified it, or if they did, it was probably like a
mhm.
very quick line.
Yeah. It's it was just like really beautiful scenery, whether it was like really hot during the day, at night, or especially near the end where it was raining and fireworks were going off. Like just like all of the scenery, what they managed to capture in this like rectangular space that they use, and they make it almost like a conveyor belt
Yeah.
of how they use it. I thought that was really impressive.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, you feel the walk because it was, it starts in mile 1, mile 3, whatever, and you're like, all right," and then it's like, "Oh, now we're at mile 20. Oh, now we're at
Mhm.
100, 200, 300," and, like, you started feeling exhausted just watching these characters walk.
I did. I felt what they felt, and that's where again, I think there's another success for the movie. Like you have to have some empathy for like what they're going through,
Right.
or at least some sympathy because um, it it would have been very hard to do so otherwise. I was a little confused near the beginning though. I was not aware that the characters knew that they were gonna die until the first kid started to struggle, and then it
Yeah.
became very clear like they knew. Or actually, no, they were gonna shoot Charlie Plummer's character when he was tying his shoe, but still, like I think they still knew that too.
Yeah, I think from the trailer, I expected it's like "Oh my god, the first person's gonna die," and that is gonna be a shock to the
Hmm.
audience, or to the audience and the characters, but, yeah, it seemed like the characters knew exactly what they were getting into, um, which does bring kind of another issue with the movie, I guess, um, I guess for me, where, um, these characters know exactly what it is, they establish that it is technically voluntary. And then they still choose to go through it um, and I'm just like, I don't know, maybe everyone has a super, super strong motivation to do this. I didn't necessarily get that from a lot of characters. Um,
They say in the movie where they're like they have a conversation, and they say like I wonder if this was all voluntary or not,
yeah,
but it still implies that they did sign up willingly, so
exactly, yeah,
I think that's where some of the confusion is. They probably would do the lottery, like do this lottery, like
yeah,
regardless, but um, like how are we supposed to know if your characters are admitting that they signed up for it?
exactly. I almost wish that, and I'm sure that's something in the book, but I almost wish it was changed, in the movie where it's just a random drawing. It's not someone who signs up. Because then I would can imagine that if it's on TV, it would be like, and it's such a big thing where every single person watches it and it inspires the nation that you would have people who like legit professionally train. I mean, you had that one character who they revealed was the major's son.
Hmm.
Uh, I imagine that every single character in the movie would kind of be like that, you know?
I think it just goes back to like it being a war movie. Like I think this is a war allegory
Right.
where the going in with the going through with the long walk is like joining the military versus like the draft. And the draft
Yeah.
is like you get picked because you're forced to sign up, right?
Mhm.
So like and there's some people who have not signed up like currently nowadays, right? Um but yeah, so then you're picked to go in. I feel like I especially noticed this when Garrity's character is like telling his mom, and he gets to see her just for a little bit and say that he's sorry and then he made a mistake. that's just like being like, a young kid going off in the military
Oh yeah.
and then writing to his mom like, I regret doing this.
Hmm. Yeah. It's kind of, I get the military comparison. It's also, um, it's also just about capitalism at the
Hmm.
same time, where it is literally all of them on a walk together. Um, and only one person's gonna win, and he is gonna have one wish come true, and like I think I don't know how much they didn't say the exact amount of money, but he has more money than he could ever possibly need. Um, I think a character literally says like a gazillion dollars, which, and then but everyone else is gonna die. So that's what I thought of more than just war. Just like capitalism, because it's like, yeah, one person is gonna um make it, be a multi-billionaire, but a lot of others are gonna suffer.
Um, at the end, when our spoilers, but Peter gets to be the person who wins the long walk, and then he gets his wish, and his wish is for the carbine, so
Hmm.
he can use it to kill the major. Um, kind of, I don't really want to get
Pretty
into what's
obvious.
currently going on right now, but
Oh
very
yeah.
topical. Because it's like, should he kill? Is like, does another wrong make a do two wrongs make a right sort of thing?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the movie doesn't delve into it. Um,
No, yeah, they don't. Like,
yeah,
they kind of just leave it uh
yeah. I'm curious
after
to
it happens.
see. I mean, nobody immediately jumped him and arrested him, so I'm assuming he's fine. Um, but you don't know that. Um,
So he wished for a carbine, he didn't wish for safety.
yeah,
That's what's so confusing is like they just let him go off. Maybe it's like a dreamlike sequence where like he never really went through with it, or he did go
maybe.
through with it and then he died like anyway.
Yeah,
Um, and they were just like showing him walking off as though he got what he wanted. But
yeah,
I think this is a lot of speculation for a movie that I don't know, kind of lays things out pretty clearly.
right. Yeah.
I also
No, go
sorry,
ahead.
one other thing is I wish that there was more psychological stuff going on at play. Like if you're walking for that long and potentially dehydrated if you I mean I know they get canteens,
Right.
but like you're definitely not in the right mental space. I almost wish they had more hallucinations or something to get inside of characters' heads without it just seeming like they're going crazy,
Yeah.
actually like experiencing what they're experiencing. I think would have been helpful.
Yeah. I mean, especially both Peter and Garrity, um, they felt like mm, fine for most of
Hmm.
it. I mean, it's like I get it. It's like 20 miles in, but then even 100 miles in, it really does not seem like they're struggling. And then it's like I know there's the moments where they're like sleeping and all that, but for the most part, like they should have all been like Ben Wang by the end of it.
Yeah, he was like limping and struggling to even like keep moving.
Right.
Ugh.
Because they made it like what, 300 miles, like multiple days. Um, I mean, come on. And I mean, I love David Jones' performance, but he's still like very relaxed, you know. Same with Garrity. He just did that's kind of all he did to show that he was
Hmm.
tired. Held his backpack with his arms crossed.
Yeah, and I hate to be that guy, but I feel like the other two guys that died before them were like physically like way more capable of continuing, and they had to find a way to get them to fall out of it. Uh,
Yeah.
because otherwise, I think they probably do win. I mean, you could doesn't the Major Son character say like there's like dozens of us or something?
Something like that.
Because it almost implies like the Major puts one of
Oh,
his
yes.
own in so that way he can fulfill some sort of psychological thing. I thought that was really messed up. Um,
Potentially, but he also
Mhm.
mentions the major doesn't know that it's him, that he is the child. Yeah.
Oh, so they decided to write in that foreshadowing line of dialogue where he says, good luck, son," but he doesn't know.
I
See,
guess
this is
so.
what I mean by it makes me mad. Like it's so obvious, but because I knew very quickly that he was the major's son, just from that little
Hmm.
line of dialogue. But then they're gonna say, "Oh no, the major doesn't know. It's just a coincidence that he said that, and we showed him saying that."
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. You're very good at writing, like Stephen King. How dare you? Although I'm sure there was an adapted version here.
Oh,
All right. All right, now it's time to score this movie. And just as a reminder, or in case you're new here, we score things on the script coverage scale. There is pass when we don't really think the movie's all that good, consider when we think it's decent, and recommend when we think it's great. So, and as a reminder, this is not an actual recommendation, it's just a score. So, with that said, Kevin, how do you score The Long Walk?
Um, I know I had a lot to say that's a little bit negative leaning. And there were definitely times where I was a little bored, but I will give this a consider, because it has strong performances, um, really great technical elements. I can't imagine what it would be like to shoot this movie. It's just got a really creative process.
yeah.
Um, and overall, I had a good time with it. I would watch it again. I just could see like a world where maybe over time I would not like this, but right now I do think it's a good movie and it's one that I'm hoping people check out if only for the performances.
Yeah, yeah, for me, I definitely like this movie a little bit more than you. That's why I'm gonna go with a recommend.
Hmm.
Weird thing is, I agree with most of your criticisms. Sometimes the dialogue is a bit like odd. Um, I feel like the movie, it unfortunately is just uh the long walk in a straight line. There's no twists and turns. Where there's character stuff happening. It's you're kind of just following them, and you keep watching as one by one someone dies. But but as a whole, I felt like the movie, it just worked well enough. I felt the exhaustion, and I feel like I felt what this every feeling that the movie wanted you to experience. So that's why it's a recommend. I think it's my favorite Francis Lawrence movie, uh, by far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I like it more than the first Hunger Games. I'm not
Hmm.
probably Catching Fire as well. I think probably the best scene that they had when it came to like they were battling the elements was like when they had to go uphill. And I
Oh yeah,
almost wish they had, again, it was like another, I wish they had more like thunderstorms or like high winds or something that was
Yeah.
like making the journey harder. And that was like the only time where they really had to go through that.
yeah. All right, Gavin. So you liked Long Walk, maybe not loved it. What else would you recommend? Or what else have you been watching?
Actually, as I was thinking, or as we were talking during the movie, I remembered a short film that I love, based on another short story, by Shirley Jackson. It's called The Lottery. Um, you may have heard of it, but it's about a small town that they get together, and they're talking about doing this lottery and having to do it, and like there's a lot of stuff foreboding stuff going on about like what it means, why the town does this lottery, and it's very similar in subject matter to The Long Walk. And since it's a short story, you can check out on YouTube, or even read the original uh, short story yourself, and I feel like you would get something very similar to The Long Walk.
That's cool. I've never read it or seen it.
Hmm.
Um,
It's like it's pretty good. I think the short is like a made for TV movie, but it was still really impressive, I think, the way they adapted it.
that's cool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything remotely that I can compare to this movie. But I did recently watch something that I enjoyed very much, and that is Caught Stealing. It's the new Darren Aronofsky movie, who I am a big fan of his, other than Noah, and I have not seen The Whale. Uh, but I generally really like Darren Aronofsky, and this movie did not feel like any of his other movies. It honestly kind of felt like a Guy Ritchie movie. Um, but I mean, I loved it. It was so much fun. And it is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, I still need to check it out. I've been away from the movie theaters for a bit, but I was glad to see The Long Walk in the theater. I hope I don't miss Caught Stealing before it leaves. Um, you're right, it does look like a Guy Ritchie movie
Yeah.
with all of the, especially with Matt Smith in there.
Oh
He
yeah.
just his character looks like it's plucked right from that guy's universe.
Yeah, it's like a Guy Ritchie movie, but all the characters other than Matt Smith are American. Oh, well, there's
Hmm.
Bad Bunny as well. He's not American. Uh, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just like super funny. Had a lot of twists and turns. Um, but I could still tell exactly what was happening. There was no point where I was confused, where sometimes it gets a little complicated.
Hmm.
Right.
He's kind of on a roller coaster, Aronofsky, when it comes to like
He is.
his output lately. Thanks everyone for watching this week's episode of Pages to Pixels. I'm Kevin, and that's Rohan, and stay tuned next week for another episode.
Thank you.